Hello, and welcome to the OwlNest Election Training, created and hosted by our OwlNest Student Engagement Consultants. Before we begin, let's start with learning outcomes. By the end of this training, you'll be able to navigate to your elections, customize your ballots, display your election to your organization, review your results, and learn how to find further assistance. First off, let's get to the Manage Switchboard. In the upper right-hand corner of the OwlNest site, click Manage to find the Action Center. This is where organization leaders can manage content such as elections. Make sure to find the roster management training for more info. Now, finding your organization. Each election is managed within your specific organization. So within the Action Center, find your organization. For today's election example, we'll use the OSEC, or OwlNest Student Engagement Consultants page. Within the Action Center, you can navigate to your Elections tab. You can see who has access to editing and creating elections in your group through the roster page. Try to explore the other tabs after creating your election. Within the Election tab, click Create Election. Now, the first steps for creating your election are giving your election a distinguishing name. Your elections must have unique names, and you'll be alerted if you create a duplicate. Also, add instructions below specific to your election if necessary. And a little pro tip, put the due date, maybe the month and year of your election, in the name for clarity. Your ballots will only be viewable to eligible organization members between the selected dates and when the election is made active. So make sure your dates are correct. And this also goes the other way around. Make sure your election is made active before the start date comes. Make sure the first box is ticked if you intend for your entire organization to see the election. And always keep the second box ticked unless non-members are allowed to participate. Now that we've created our test election, we need to create a test ballot. So click Create Ballot. Before we can go on, we need to talk about access restrictions. So if certain members of your organization should be allowed or disallowed to vote on certain ballots, contact OwlNest at Rice.edu for the creation of eligibility lists, and we'll create them for you. Moving on to actually creating your ballot, consider adding instructions to proactively answer expected ballot questions. You can move instruction boxes around using the leftmost icon or sequence dropdown. Create a radio button list for multiple choice questions with a single answer. And be sure to check whether you prefer any or all of your questions to be required. Also, you can shuffle answers around to lower survey bias. And continuing on with our example election, enter a question into the text box. Next, enter answers on separate lines. And try to play around with the tooltip option, especially for write-in candidates. Here we see an approximation of what your voter will see. They'll see the question and your answers. And if you have an answer with a tooltip attached, that answer will be underlined. So if your voter hovers over the other option, they'll see the tooltip. And this simple tooltip pop-up can help voters more readily understand how to respond or what information you're looking for. Next, we'll create a checkbox list question for multiple choice questions with a potential for multiple answers. Question and answer entry is very much similar for checkboxes, radio buttons, and ranked questions. So next, we'll create a ranked list question. If you need constituents to rank answers, the question input is exactly the same. And same with the answer input. Again, check the required box to ensure a response is submitted if needed. Now we'll move on to viewing results. And for this part of the example, we'll move to a simple ballot with one ranked question. If we move to the Results tab of your election, you can customize how percentages are calculated. And the results are laid out in counts and percentages. You can also export ballot votes. This will download a simple CSV file you can open in Excel. Moving on to publishing options, make sure to check the election alert box to maximize visibility. For management access, Please find the roster management training for more information on managing your roster. You can then use that knowledge to determine your officers' access levels in your elections. And finally, thank you. Email us with questions or to request a consultation at OwlNest@rice.edu. Also, follow us on Instagram @RiceOwlNest. Have a great day.